Psalm 139, verses 1 through 4 states, O Jehovah, you have searched me and know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You understand my thought from afar. You scrutinize my path and my lying down, and you are intimately acquainted with all my ways. Even before there is a word on my tongue, behold, O Jehovah, you know it all. Now those who deny God's exhaustive foreknowledge may not see the profound implications of this passage, for its intent is to show that nothing can happen that God won't find out. And to this they will agree, for every thought and action in the universe will be known to God simultaneously. And nothing's going to escape his knowing. But what about the future? Will things happen to which God will respond, I didn't know that would happen? Not if verse 4 is to be interpreted in connection with verses 1 through 3, for it states that even before there is a word on my tongue, behold, O Jehovah, you know it all. Now those who insist on a position of selective foreknowledge, that God only knows those things which he chooses to know in the future, they may conclude that verse 4 is limited to the things that we might say. But such a position neglects the context already established. That is, if the psalmist can conclude that nothing can happen in the present that God won't find out about, then should we conclude that there are some things in the future that God doesn't know about? Of course not. Why? Because Jehovah knows it all. Psalm 139 verse 16 states, Your eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in your book were all written the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there was not even one of them. For those who deny God's foreknowledge, it's hard to imagine how a God who doesn't know the future can number someone's days before they are in the womb. But it's also difficult to imagine for the one who holds to selective foreknowledge. And the reason is because of the conclusion that the psalmist comes to in Psalm 139 verses 17 through 18. How precious also are your thoughts to me, O God. How vast is the sum of them. If I should count them, they would outnumber the sand. Now keep in mind that this statement was made after the psalmist claimed that God knew how long he would live before he ever existed. If God's innumerable number of thoughts towards the psalmist included the number of days he would live, then how could they not include the rest of the details of the future? Isaiah chapter 41, verses 21 through 29 states, Present your case, Jehovah says. Bring forward your strong arguments. The King of Jacob says, Let them bring forth and declare to us what is going to take place. As for the former events, declare what they were, that we may consider them and know their outcome, or announce to us what is coming. Declare the things that are going to come afterward, that we may know that you are God's. Indeed, do good or evil, that we may anxiously look about us and fear together. Behold, you are of no account, and your work amounts to nothing. He who chooses you is an abomination. I have aroused one from the north, and he is come. From the rising of the sun, he will call on my name, and he will come upon rulers as upon mortar, even as the potter treads clay. Who has declared this from the beginning, that we might know? or from former times that we may say, he is right. Surely was no one who declared, surely there was no one who proclaimed, surely there was no one who heard your words. Formerly I said to Zion, behold, here they are, and to Jerusalem I will give a messenger of good news. But when I look, there is no one, and there is no counselor among them who, if I ask, can give an answer. Behold, all of them are false. Their works are worthless. Their molten images are wind and emptiness. In Isaiah chapters 40 through 60, scholars have long declared that this is the trial of the gods, where Jehovah challenges the false gods of the pagans with various challenges to prove their deity. Now notice how general the challenge is. Verse 22 states, declare to us what is going to take place. Announce to us what is coming. Now this is not only significant in light of the claim that God doesn't know the future, but also for those who believe that God only knows certain elements of the future. And the reason is God's revelation and knowledge of specific future events does not cancel out, but illustrates this general claim of declaring what is going to take place and announcing what is coming. And this would be absurd to think that God would reveal to anyone every single element of the future. Therefore, the general claim would be supported by God's demonstration of specific cases of predictions and revelation. So this test is not only whether specific events can be foretold, though God does do this, but whether the future as a whole can be declared and announced before it occurs. And verse 23 is the true test of deity because only God can announce what is going to take place in the future. Therefore, God must know the future as a whole and not merely in just these isolated elements. And following this challenge, Jehovah specifies exactly how he has fulfilled the challenge. He declared from the beginning things that would come. And it's noteworthy that in this passage, God decides the basis on which true deity is to be verified. And because the criterion is the possession of a knowledge of the future that can be declared and its truthfulness verified by the unfolding of future events, how wrong would it be to deny God's exhaustive foreknowledge and so deny the very basis by which God has claimed his deity to which he makes himself known?